art is inspired by something, whether it's people, places, things, or experiences. I mean, really anything. It all comes from somewhere. And as I was sitting there watching YouTube, it was either that or Gilmore Girls for the 100th time. There was a video on my For You page called Art to Fashion, which is a series by the channel Parisian Vibe, where they style outfits inspired by works of art. And I was like, I could do that, but make it. And I had the perfect idea. I'm gonna make a dress inspired by these vintage Paper Moon photos. So I made this dress last year for a wedding that I went to, and I don't really have any use for it at this point, so I thought we could repurpose it for this project. I feel kind of bad taking it apart, but I don't really feel like buying fabric, and I don't really go anywhere. For this project, my goal is to not buy anything, because I need to use up stuff I have, because I am moving, and I have too much stuff, so I'm going to only use what I have. So before we start, I like to add a little bit of context as to what those Paper Moon photos actually are. So Paper Moon photos were super popular in the early 1900s. They were usually found in cheap photo studios or photo booths, at carnivals, fairs, beach resorts, and downtown arcades. They were basically souvenir postcards, that's what they typically were, that people would send to their friends and family, and it was a really popular way to stay in touch with people. It's kind of like the early version of like sticking your head through a cardboard cutout. It's kind of like that. Or when you go to Disney and get dressed up as a Disney princess, and then you see Aladdin and cry, and your parents never let you live that down. Even though you were 4. Anyways, no one really knows where they originated from, but at that time there was like this interest and resurgence in romanticizing the moon and stars. And you can see that in Tin Pan Alley songs at the time, such as Shine On Harvest Moon, By the Light of the Silvery Moon, and I Sit Right on the Moon and Keep My Eye on You. These photos attracted everybody from housewives to celebrities, and these photos were kind of like a change from the more serious photographs at the time where you didn't smile. These photos brought a bit more of a lighthearted, whimsical vibe, and you can kind of see people playing up to the camera a bit more in these photos. And these were portraitures anybody could get. They weren't expensive. There's also other backdrops for these picture postcards, like Niagara Falls. They went out of fashion around the 1950s. No one really knows why. People speculated that it's because of the development in technology, with cameras being more accessible to people. And also things just, trends come and go. This one lasted a pretty long time though. And they're kind of coming back now. You see people doing it for photo booths, for weddings and stuff like that. They're just kind of fun. But anyways, that's the little brief history of Paper Moon photos, and now back to our video. So I want to do this design sort of tapping into that carnival fair, cheap. Let me interject here. The words I was looking for was costumey, if that's a word, and whimsical. Okay, carry on. Paper, kind of papery vibes, if that makes sense. Don't look in here, it's a disaster. And I want to try to bring in dress design elements from that time period if I can. Okay, so I have this cheesecloth just hanging around. I think I bought it for my wedding. So what I thought might work is if we sort of drape it along the neckline and then do like little sleeve things. There. But what I think I'm going to do is like half this, so make it smaller, so it's not as poofy. I want it to look like clouds. My idea was for it to look like clouds. And I thought the cheesecloth would kind of fit that cheaper, papery, carnival kind of vibe. That was my thought process there anyway. So, and then what I thought I'd do is add like a beaded moon and some stars, maybe some other things. I don't know. We'll see how we go. Just like a nice little moon, some nice little stars, some nice little other things. And also doing an evening dress because moon, stars, evening, duh, nighttime. Makes sense. But before we get to the fun stuff of sticking things on things, we need to make the dress structurally sound, so I'm going to add an internal corset. And I want to make that first because I'm a little worried about it, because I've never done that before. And get the hard things out of the way first. Or at least the stressful things out of the way first. Oh look, I already had one made from my glitter corset video. This was the test version of it. So I'm going to make this work whether it wants to work or not. Don't do your interfacing like this, by the way. And yes, you can use zip ties for the boning. I'm doing this as a strapless dress, which is why I'm doing this, which I forgot to mention. So I'm telling you now. And we got our corset part, basically. Almost. So I've just been playing around with what I want to do to make the dress more fitted. My first idea was to do this sort of gathered look, which I do like, but I don't think it's going to work with the appliques that we're going to do. It's just there's too much fabric there, and to like put something on top of it, I don't know. But I don't hate it. And it would be easy because I wanted to do something other than just darts. So the idea I had is this. on this side is what I was playing around with, is triangle cut shape. And if you come over this way, these vintage dresses were the inspiration for this because I wanted to try and bring in that early 1900s silhouette and that drapiness. So this is just like a rough put together of the muslin of the bodice of the dress. I'm just going to extend this piece so it lines up properly and then fix my dart because it's a bit aggressive. And this was the point where I forgot how annoying stretch velvet is to work with, but I'm just going to own it at this point and it will be what it will be. Honestly, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to turn out. It needs a little bit of adjustment. I might take out this middle seam and just do like a wider piece. So like have 3 pieces. All the little weird spots will get covered up with appliques anyway, so this does seem a little tight in the hips. I'll have to do a bit of readjusting. So if you take a look at the stars in the photos, they're all your classic star shape. So that's what I did. I used acrylic paint for the background and started beading. This is a regular occurrence of me losing my needle and thread. I feel like it's on the floor. I found it. It was on the floor way over there. I think it got stuck to my pants, and when I got up, it fell off. But anyway, I did continue to lose my needle and thread and other things throughout this whole process, as I do every project. Once my stars were all beaded, I cut them all out. I just used fabric tape to tape the edges down, because that was the easiest thing to do. And our stars were born, just like Lady Gaga, Barbra Streisand, Judy Garland, and Janet Gaynor. So I've had some thoughts. There are thoughts in my brain that have been had, and I have thought about them. So I've just been playing around with our dress here. I'm going to add in a panel in the middle here, just to fill it out a little more, and also kind of tying back in the triangle aspect on the top. And then what I was going to do was add I have this extra chiffon from another project, and what I thought we would do is attach it to the side here and paint it so it's not so blindingly white. Because I like this shade of white, the cheesecloth shade of white. It's like a creamy off-white, but this is like too white, so I'm going to paint it. I think I'm just going to do like a layer of gold paint and then like blue and make it like clouds, kind of tying back in that painted look of those Paper Moon photo backdrops. That's kind of the idea I'm going for. And then that's pretty much it. Those are all the thoughts I've had. And that's what I settled on. As of right now, it may change. I kind of just like the process of these projects, just letting them like reveal themselves to me as we go along. And not needing it to look a certain way, but like kind of playing around with it and experimenting and just having fun with it and not needing it to be like this specific vision. I have an idea in mind, but sometimes like better ideas come out when you're playing around with them. And like I'm all about experimenting. I'm all about just like having fun, seeing what happens, trying things. And even if I don't do them 100% perfectly or the techniques are 100% not correct, I don't really care. That's how I learn. That's how we all learn. But I always like to come at things more from a creative aspect than a technical aspect. I don't enjoy the technical aspect of things, even though you do need to know technical aspects for sewing. I don't enjoy it. It's my least favorite part. I like just being creative. There are no rules. There's probably some rules. There's probably a lot of rules, actually. Anyway. So I was going to initially dye this fabric with a coffee or a tea, but this is polyester, so it's not going to really hold the color very well. Not that I wanted it very dark, but I decided to paint it all instead because I have this gold. I have a lot of gold paint actually, and it has a little bit of sparkle in it, and I think that's kind of fun. I'm trying to make it kind of that sepia tone and like just softened and like kind of a little blurry, I guess. I'm not the best painter in the world, but I don't really care. This is honestly really fun. Like, I'm trying to make it look like watercolor, basically, which is what I meant by like blurry and soft. And like, you're not gonna see all this hanging off the side. And these are just acrylic paints. I have done this before on another project. It works fine. It's not getting washed, so it doesn't really matter. So the idea was to put these painted panels on the side here. I feel like it's close. It is a little bit blobby. The clouds are a little bit blobby, but I guess technically clouds are blobs. They are sky blobs, but I feel like they almost need to be a little more defined. I'm just gonna define them a little more by adding white on top of it. I feel like it needs like a lighter, I feel like it needs some contrast. It's kind of one tone basically. And I think just lightening it up a bit will help, or darkening it, but I don't have a darker blue. So I'm just gonna use white. That's gonna be easier. And I think I wanna lighten it up as opposed to darken it. Although it's a night sky, I don't know. I'm gonna lighten it. I think that's what it needs because I'm gonna add white on other parts of the dress. So that's what I'm gonna do for our sky blobs. I just don't want you to have to like guess as to what it is. On its own, it's fine. But when you add it with the skirt, I was trying to find a circle big enough for the crescent moon to trace. My husband had these symbols lying against the wall downstairs, and I think he's trying to sell them. But this one is the perfect size, so that's what I'm going to use. So for the moon, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I played around with it for a bit and came up with just doing the beading in like a random pattern. I felt like it needed one more thing. It took me a while to find the small white seed beads that I had. Gee, I don't know why I can't find anything. I only ended up doing half the moon because A, time was running out, and I was getting tired, and B, I wanted to connect the painted parts. I then freed my moon from my embroidery rectangle. Yes, I did accidentally sew it together. And I did the same thing that I did with the stars, just using fabric tape to fold the edges over. Finishing the dress in what felt like a million steps. The first step is to fix the front middle panel, because it was off. Once that was looking presentable, the next step was to cut the back in half so we can add the zipper. I only had a white invisible zipper, and remember, I'm only using what I have, and this is what I have. Then I realized doing the strapless with stretch velvet was a terrible idea. I randomly pulled some fabric from a pile beside me, and it happened to be an almost perfect fit for lining. I love it when that happens, much less work for me. There have been painters here all day, and all day yesterday, and will probably be here all week. because my dad has decided to sell this house, the house that I grew up in, and the house that me and my husband have been living in for the past few years. And because we just bought a house and we're getting ready to move, and my dad has decided to put this house up for sale and get it ready like a week after we close on our house. So it's mass chaos in here, and it's a bit much. It's a little bit much. But we're here now, so we're just gonna try to finish this dress because I have to finish this dress in the next couple days. Should probably start packing things. But anyway, it's a bit chaotic right now. Anyways, back to our zipper. Put that in. And then it was time to sew the front and back together. Then I added some straps with the cheesecloth. And then I sewed on the painted panels to the lining. I don't know, I'm doing it now, don't yell at me. Then I played around with draping the cheesecloth along the neckline. I tried to sort of make it look like clouds and have it kind of floofy kind of thing. Then I used our good old trusty fabric tape to stick on the moon and the stars. Felt a little unbalanced to me, so to balance it out, I added cheesecloth along the bottom of the skirt to give more of a cloud effect again, a little bit more whimsy, if you will. And I added some gold beads just to kind of fill it out a little more. And that's where I left it, thinking it was done, but I came back to it the next day because I didn't like how the neckline was looking. So I redid it and had it more kind of like simply draped along the front and the back, which I felt like it looked a lot better. And then we were done. I feel like the vibe is there with this dress, that costumey, whimsical vibe that I was going for. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, for not buying anything and just using what I had available to me. And that is our paper moon dress. I should get back to packing.